We are WCEG Talk Radio. You can follow us on Facebook. We are live on Facebook. You can also follow us on WCEG Network, WCEG Talkradio.com, or you can follow us on YouTube. Subscription is free. And you can also follow us at lyvradio.com/WCEG. Uh, we are your empowerment station. Uh, we are a nonprofit, a radio station, and also we are, let me read you the disclaimer. The topics and the opinion of those are the show hosts and the guests, not WCEG Network. And we also are a nonprofit organization. And before we leave the air, I will give you the contact information so that if you would like to make a donation, quite welcome. And we're going to move forward with the program. I am Herman Anderson. My other co-host, Anthony Aiken, current retired Anthony Aiken, is having some health issues today, so he will not be present. But I am, and we have a guest, and our guest is, I'm going to read a brief introduction, then we will start our show for today. Dr. Amy Stevenson, education, licensed practical nurse, is a clinical consultant, and nationally known speaker on veteran issues. She is service disabled veteran whose experience include over 14 years of service as an officer in the U.S. Navy and service 2009 through 2012 as Director of Psychology Health with the Georgia National Guard. She is the founder of the social network Georgia Military Women and provides unique insights into the issues faced by women in the military. She also serves on the board of directors of Vetlanta, which bridges veterans together for networking in Atlanta, Georgia. Dr. Stevens is a licensed professional counselor in the state of Georgia. She is retired from the United States Department of Labor. Dr. Stevenson received her academic degrees from Liberty University, the Citadel, Johns Hopkins University, Agnes University, a proud native of Maine. She now lives in Marietta, Georgia. Dr. Amy Stevenson, welcome to Veterans Today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anderson. I'm just delighted to be here. I think we're going to have a good time today.
No doubt about it. We like to make this a conversation, and our motto is to empower the community. And we feel like if we start with veterans empower the community in several ways, dealing with all of the veteran issues that you deal with: compensation, health issues, housing, homeless, all the issues that veterans deal with.
Sounds good to me.
So let's get started by dealing with the situation that we've been in the last year. So it has been now March, since last March to this March, in 1 year that we have been dealing with COVID-19. And that really, the veteran services, the VA hospitals, and all of the clinics and all of the services that are normally had structure for veterans, and it happened to the entire universe. But we're talking about veterans that has been turned upside down. So do you think we're moving back to a better situation?
Well, I pray that we are, and we've decided to call each other by first name. So Herman, thank you again for having me here. Is that COVID has done a whammy on the entire universe, as you know, and the veterans have exactly the same problems that other people have, but also may have some additional things just because of disabilities or mental health status. Certainly a big one is access to care. We see this in the civilian hospitals, but I think the VA as a government entity seems to have a lot of extra rules just because they are the federal government, and federal governments do that, right? So
Right.
I don't know about you, but I haven't been able to see my doctor in person at the VA. Now, let's see, it's over a year, you know, not able to
Same
get
for
in,
me.
right? Have you done that online stuff, like video appointments? Have you tried one of
Yeah,
those?
yeah.
Okay, so
That
how did that go? Let me ask you, how did that go for you? Did it work just fine? You were happy, or were there
I
some
wasn't
things?
I wasn't happy. I actually had it, and I didn't. First of all, technically it didn't go well. Then the next part
Exactly.
is I didn't. The communication between me and my doctor wasn't good.
Yeah, exactly. See, and I asked you that question because exactly the same thing happened to me. And everybody thinks that they're special and that it's only happening to them. But hello, this is a lot of veterans are having the same problems. You mentioned the technical problem. Exactly. It took me 3 tries to finally get an online thing with my podiatrist. I've been having some foot problems myself. I'm service connected on my foot. So having a rough time this year, really needed to be able to talk to my doctor about what was going on. And then, okay, so I'm online with somebody. It's not like she can really examine me, right? She can't touch my foot to tell the level of pain that I'm having and stuff like that. I can only tell her what's going on. And I'll tell you for myself, I'm blessed. I have other insurance. I'm over 65. I've got Medicare, right? So I went locally. I went over to Johnson's Ferry Road and found myself an in-person podiatrist that would see me in his office. So I've been seeing my civilian provider in person now for months, and I'm doing much better, by the way. But for the VA, no, they weren't doing in-person appointments, and it's still very limited.
Well, that
And you know,
well that is true, and I happen to be fortunate also that I have uh, Medicare and other access for through other ways.
right.
But there are a lot of veterans that's not in that position, and
Exactly. And those are the ones that are super frustrated. And especially if they're like mental health patients too, is that some people are used to being able to go in to see their doctor several times a month. A big challenge for the VA, as well as other places, has been setting up the technology to make things like today's program possible. Is that the VA had never done telehealth? As a clinician, I can tell you that the health community in general has been slowly moving to doing telehealth. And so I would say over the past 5 years, I've started seeing it on the mental health side. But there's a lot of concerns about privacy, HIPAA laws, and things like that. So, they want to have very secure ways of doing it, which means that the technology is much tighter and it's harder for an average person to do. Then, wham, we have COVID. All of a sudden, nobody can go into the office, right? The providers are working from home. You're at home. We're all locked down in quarantine. And the traditional programs were not working. And so what's happened, and I'm sure you would agree, over the past year, that they changed what they're willing to do. The VA, though, is still strict. Is that VA is much stricter on the video and telehealth than other organizations are. I guess today we're doing Zoom, which is one of the
we are
easiest ones to
right.
do. There's also Microsoft Teams. There's Cisco. Those are like kind of the big three.
Right.
And there's a bunch of other ones, but it's frustrating because every time you try to do something online, you have to, pray that your technology will hook up, right? If you have an
Right.
unstable signal, it will crash and burn. I mean, I have not been happy with getting services that way. I'm one of those. I'm old fashioned. I want to see my doctor face to face, right? You
I
know,
I am I am too. I'm a country boy. I like to kick the tires.
right, right. And so so it's very stressful. It's very
And
stressful.
let's talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about our organization. You have an organization that help veterans and primary female, and I have an organization that helps veterans, and so does Anthony, who is not on the show. And we get a lot of people from people that are in need, really emergency need, and are unable to communicate. They can't go to the clinic. They're
Right.
not getting their prescriptions and things like
Mhm.
that. So, give
Right.
me your thoughts on that.
Well, that's been helpful, especially at the beginning of COVID. That's where I was running into a lot of people that were concerned about their medications. And I think we have to give credit to the VA in that the Veterans Administration is the largest healthcare organization in the entire world. I mean, they handle just so many patients and so many patients that really need ongoing care. They're handling complex cases from post 9/11s, but they've also got a huge geriatric population of World War II and now Vietnam era veterans. All of those are, so they really had to learn to do a lot of things. But yes, I had lots of people contacting me because they couldn't get their medications. And sometimes it would be, critical life, types of things like insulin. That was one of the big ones, is that they were not able to get their prescriptions updated. Fortunately, though, the VA does have the mail-in type of thing. And now people are all using more types of I'm going to give my dog a bone here so that he will not whine too much here beside me. Sorry about that. Is that I just gave it, little Charlie is a terrier schnauzer, just for anybody who's wondering, and he can be very happy. So they've had to work on figuring out how to do that. So they've come a long way. And yes, in some cases, they are scheduling in-person appointments now. It just kind of depends on the clinic. Everybody's starting to come back. One of the good things I did want to talk about is vaccinations.
Okay.
I was part of the big group that I was a volunteer. I went to the Atlanta VA a couple of weekends ago where they vaccinated 2,800 veterans all in one day. You may have heard about the traffic problems in Decatur on that day, because people were backed up. But I was inside, and it was amazing how many people got vaccinated. And pretty much the doors are opening so that any veteran that's over 65 for sure is going to be able to get their vaccine. They've had the pop-up clinics, they've published schedules. They have a vaccination clinic right there in the hospital. If you were there that day for another appointment, if you're actually in the hospital, you can always check and see if they're accepting walk-ins. A lot of times they will, if they have the vaccine on hand. The biggest problem too has been, access to the vaccine itself. Is that supply chain? So there's been times when they haven't had it. I also volunteer with public health at the clinics here in Cobb County. Actually, this week I worked 2 days at what they call pop-up clinics at one of the Cobb Douglas area senior centers where we vaccinated 200 people. So there's lots of more resources, but Cobb Douglas was not able to provide vaccines right after that Texas cold chill where everything was shut down. There were like 3 days they had to cancel the shots because they didn't have the vaccine on hand. So the supply line is coming in. But
well, I think it is the VA is getting better at vaccinating, because actually they had a supply yesterday that came in. Person I know, Dr. Cooper, called me at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, good. Yeah.
They had anybody, and they was giving them to any age, because they came in yesterday and they wanted to use them before the day was over.
Right. Yeah. Dr. Cooper sometimes calls me. He is the director of volunteer services for anybody that doesn't know. Yes. And so he handles a lot of stuff over there. And if you're connected, with an organization, sometimes you will get the call and so that you can share it out to your members. So he didn't call me yesterday. I'm going to have words with him. Say, hey,
well, I just got him in trouble.
You were special yesterday, but he calls me on other days, so it's all right. But I like working with him, and I guess I should go back to your question about the organizations that I'm part of. I'm the founder of Georgia Military Women, and we have over 4,000 ladies throughout the state of Georgia that are our members. We are the largest and most diverse group of women veterans in the entire country. We're very unique and we're very active. And the uniqueness is that, I don't know how much you do Facebook, but there's a lot of Facebook groups out there that people can join. And we do have a screening process, just so you know, Herman, you cannot join. It's only ladies. We have men asking us every day if they can join. No, you cannot. We would like to, but you cannot. And it's
excuse me for interrupting you, but I have some people in my organ. I'm gonna let you keep going, but my organization is Veteran Helping Veterans. We were originally Black Veteran Helping Veterans. So I have some ladies in my organization that are part of yours.
I know you do. That's how come. And the thing is, we're not really talking about anything all that secret. It's just a privacy thing that some of the ladies appreciate. And as I said, we have our goal in having the group, even from the beginning. I started in 2012 after I left the Georgia National Guard I was a contractor there doing psychological help. And because I served during a time period when the Guard was doing active deployments to Afghanistan, and not everybody came home. A lot of people, got hurt over there, that kind of thing. 2009 to 2012, there were a lot of deployments. Because I was there and there were no other behavioral health people there at the time, it was kind of a new thing. Everybody came and told me what was going on with them. I was overwhelmed. I was working 100 hours a week, probably, is that I had to be at the office, the regular daytime hours, but nobody wanted to be seen walking down the hall, right? So, and my contract called for me to be available 24/7. I don't think the Guard itself appreciated what I was doing. Young captain that I was working with, and you know how young captains are. So, but the thing is that I would work during the day. People would call me in the evening and on the weekends, and I'd get calls at 11, 12 o'clock at night with people constantly contacting me about whatever was going on with them. And that's where I learned about all the resources that are available in the state of Georgia to help soldiers and other branches to get the help that they need, no matter what it is that behavioral health at the level that I do is not about mental health. It's more behavioral health, everyday stuff, like more stress in your life, helping you get to A to B, because the reality is that people have this idea that a lot of veterans are broken, that we're all disabled. No, we're not. There's a lot of average veterans that are just really tired or overwhelmed or having difficulty with something where they need to talk to somebody about it. Certainly, there are some that we have to watch for, that they don't go over the tipping point. We have to worry about suicide prevention. And what I have found is that the social media groups are really, and what you're doing, Herman, by doing this broadcast, it's sneaky mental health is really what it is. Because we're putting ourselves out there and saying, hey, guy or gal, you're not alone. You're not the only one that's going through this. And we're safe people that you can talk to. And so that's how come, like the women's group, it's closed, 4,000 women. And seriously, they all participate online. And what additionally makes us unique is that because we are a geographically restricted group, you have to be located in Georgia or have a very close tie to Georgia. So you may have lived here, but you've recently moved, or, you're someplace else, but you're planning to move to Georgia. So because we're regionally restricted, we have small meetups all over the state. So, we've had meetups, some of the gals went down to Savannah, stayed overnight, went on the riverboat cruise. That's pretty, right? A couple of weekends ago, there's a program called the Peach Pit in Fort Valley, Georgia, where Gwendolyn Miller has a wonderful program that's an equine program, horses. She has 17, and we went down there. It's a free program. She got a grant from someplace. So, so that people can come down there and have a therapeutic opportunity to be with the horses for 8 weeks. You get one session per week with her, and it's all paid for. You get to do that. So we met in Fort Valley. We have people in the Warner Robins Macon area. I went not long ago over to Athens, where actually what we were there for was to turn in Valentine's Day's cards. Is that we did an online thing where we encouraged everybody to write Valentine's Valentine's cards to veterans that were in the nursing home over in Augusta, VA. And so the group that was doing that collected over 500 cards to take to the Augusta VA. We had another group that's in, we call it Topside. Around Christmas time, they did the same thing. They collected cards for the veterans that are down at Milledgeville at the state nursing home. So we sent a
Right.
bunch there. So we'll have the small meetup. Sometimes we get together just for fun to go out to eat. You know, we have a lot of people. What is it? The Marietta Fish Market.
Yes, that's a favorite.
I like Mary Mac's in downtown Atlanta. You know, so we've had some good meetups down there. So, and you know, it might be 10 to 20 ladies. You know, it's not a huge group, right? But the thing is, what we do in our group is that we develop friendships because, you know, personally, I was in the Navy, right? I don't mind people from other branches, but we get together and we can talk about stuff like, where were you stationed, right? You know,
Right.
kind of. And it's kind of cool. You know, I'm a Westpacker myself. I was stationed in Yokosuka, Japan. So, and I have my girlfriends in the group, a lot of Army ladies. Maybe they were stationed in Germany, right? And so we talk about stuff like that, what it was like over there. And nobody else can appreciate it unless, you know, you were in. So the group is good. If you want to find it on Facebook, I do have a page called Georgia Military Women, but the group itself is GA Military Women. And if anybody watching wants to join that, you have to click on it to join it. There's 4 questions to answer. The moderator is very strict about making sure that you answer all the questions. So please answer all 4 questions, which are very easy. And we would appreciate that. And everybody's welcome to do everything in the group. We post in the events tab. We always have stuff going on. I think there's maybe 2 meetup groups this weekend. And I'm trying to remember what else we've got going on. You know, actually, I've been advertising this show today is one of the
Right.
things out there. So hopefully some of the ladies that are in the group are watching right now.
So it's GA Military Women.
Right. That's the key one. GA Military Women. Just find us on Facebook. That
And
would be great.
one thought that while you were going through that, regarding the amount of resources that are available, but different states have different level of resources, but I think Georgia has a great amount of resources that are available that veterans don't know about.
Oh, bingo. You got that one right. Yeah, there are so many resources. And I should mention that Georgia Military Women, we have no resources. We refer everybody. What we have is friendships. I want to make sure, you know, that we're not a nonprofit. We don't have a bank card or, you know, or a bank account even at all. Everybody pays for stuff. We don't allow asking for money in the group. Now, if I find out that somebody has a need, that's where the resource comes up, is that we'll share that, you know, like lately, you know, this past summer, a lot of the food banks, for example, to let people know where those are located. Like that, there's that big, are you aware of that big food bank, Soldiers Angels, been doing once a month over at the Arcadia Clinic?
Yes,
Decatur?
I am.
Yeah, and so that's something that, like, we'll put that out every month. They have a limit of about 200 people that can sign up each month. And that, I have volunteered at that quite a few times. Man, they get so much food and they get meat and dairy. I mean, stuff, you know, it's not just vegetables, but, you know, your whole trunk will be filled up with stuff. So if you are in need of food, soldiersangels.org is a great organization. It's one of my referrals that I do for people that need food, for example.
Okay. And let me, because today I hadn't had it on my desk, and I had forgot to let our listeners know that we had received food boxes from the Clayton County Alzheimer's organization we have, and they're being given out at 562 State Road, 138 Jonesboro, Georgia, today from 12 to 2. So if you are listening and you are interested in picking up a food box, a USDA food box with meat and vegetables, we have them until we run out. We have 125. Thank you.
Oh, that's nice. Could you say that address again? Is that in Jonesboro, you said?
Yeah, it's 562 State Road. It's actually on 138, block 562. The zip code is 30238, and we're doing it from now until we run out.
Nice. How often are you able to do that?
Uh, well, we get notification on a weekly basis, but
Mm-hmm.
right now I have commitments until the end of March for the
Nice. Okay.
next 3 Fridays.
Mm. See, and this is the thing, people don't know what they don't know. There's lots of different needs that people have, and people just don't know that it's available.
Well, that is true, and it's we with social media we are better able to communicate it, but there's still it's hard to get the information to the right people.
Right, right. Well, and there's kind of like a networking that goes on between the leaders, which helps to some extent, and that's I appreciate actually getting a chance to meet you to find out what you do so that I can add you to my list, right? And
Right.
of course, your lovely administrator, producer behind the scenes, Miss Vivian. So, is that, like if there's a flyer for this type of thing, she can put it in our group for you. That would be the
Okay.
kind of thing, is to let the ladies know that, hey, today from noon to 12 to 2, that if you live in Jonesboro, that's close enough. Get in the car right now and get on over there, right? So
We'll
why not? Makes
we
sense,
just
because I'm getting contacts all the time. I was telling her, I just got, I'm sitting here and I'm getting, the Facebook messages like, I don't know, we'll do some problem solving. Can you, the lady is asking, can you tell me if the VA has a program where I can get concrete steps in my yard? I get a lot of calls from veterans that need help, and a lot of times they're senior veterans or disabled veterans. They need help with some project around the house. So I know who I usually refer people to. Maybe you've got some people that you refer people to. So I don't, the VA is a little hard to work with, but I know that they do have programs that will help. Like if you're disabled, they'll help like get a ramp and stuff like that, right?
they will, and I've been every time I approach that question for caretakers for uh,
Hmm.
getting modification in the house, like uh, I got stairs and I need a lift and things like that. Same as uh, they being someone at the VA tell me you need to tell the veteran they need to start with their social worker, and their social worker will set up uh, uh, in a question and answer session with them with someone in the VA. I just had a situation this week regarding someone wanted to get uh, a walk-in bath and shower and all of
Hmm.
that. So what the VA did was so put the person in touch with the social worker, and the social worker had someone at the VA that uh, does this, interview this person,
Hmm.
and determine if they were really at the level that they would consider it. So
Hmm.
that's as far as I've gotten with them. At
Yeah,
least,
well, I can say it does work actually. I have a brother that's a disabled veteran, and he needed a walkway to his house fixed because it was not safe from where he parked his car to get up into the house. And some handrails in his home were also not safe because there weren't any handrails on one area, so it was not safe. I don't know specifically who he talked to over at the VA, but they actually, once it was approved, it went pretty fast. The VA worked with him to select a contractor to do the work. And so that he got, though, there's safety issues, right? They're not going to fix stuff up just because your house doesn't look nice.
right,
They're not going to come out and paint your house. But if it's a safety issue, then it's reasonable. Yeah, start with your primary care, and if you should, everybody that is at the VA does have access to a social worker. You may not realize it, but it starts
exactly.
through your primary care clinic. So if you have a safety need, that's the key thing. It's not just whether or not you're 100%. We have lots of people that are 100% for different things that don't have mobility issues. Now, I'm a veteran. I am not 100%. And I do have mobility issues. Potentially, if I could not afford to do it myself, I'll be honest, I'm not low income. But if you are a low income person who's a veteran and has mobility issues, or has a safety thing within your house, yeah, you discuss it through your primary care clinic. They will potentially help you out. So that is a pathway to do it. The other thing, though, I wanted to suggest is some of the other resources, because I figure your viewers might be interested because this comes up all the time.
Sure.
Is that there are other resources such as Habitat for Humanity has grants from Home Depot. So they are a great resource. Every little bit, they will make, projects available. So you just contact the Habitat group in your area. There's a great group, and I don't remember the exact names of the Habitat chapters. I know that there's a big one here in the Atlanta area. I know that there's a very active group down in the Warner Robins, Macon area. Contact Habitat about their veterans program. What they do is they get volunteers to do the work, but Home Depot is the one that provides the materials, right? And so you can get a lot of stuff done that way. It works pretty well. The other thing is, depending on if you, preferably you're already active in a service group that is close to you, such as DAV, VFW, and American Legion. Those organizations often will have resources where they may have some folks that will just come out and volunteer to do something for you. I had one organization come out to help me a couple of years ago. I had a tree fall down on my property and it crushed my fence. And I love my little dog. That's the one I just gave the bone to, right? Well, I was concerned that Charlie was going to get out. And it was one of those little jobs. There was a lot of stuff going on, because of the storm. And basically all I needed was for one big limb to be moved. It had to be cut. It was more than I could do myself. It was one limb that had to be done. And, and a little bit of stuff moved around. It was the kind of job that I knew would take probably half an hour, right? So you don't want to call one of the big tree companies to do that, because you know what they would charge you. And it wasn't, it was an emergency to me because of little Charlie, but it wouldn't be an emergency for anybody else. But so anyhow, I called up one of my buddies at one of the groups that I'm a member of and said, do you guys know anybody that's got a chainsaw and can help me out? And yeah, they did. Now I owe them forever. But no, we're friends. But the thing is, this is why it's important to have friends, right? Is that because I am a senior, I used to be able to do stuff with chainsaws. My son says I'm not allowed on ladders anymore. But and he's probably right. But the thing is, this is where the veteran community can come together. So I would imagine if somebody contacted your organization, you're not going to make any guarantees that you can do anything, but you may have a suggestion of where they can go to help them look around. So, if you have an issue, the various different nonprofits and service organizations are great. We know you may not know people, but we know people. And that's what I offer, especially within, the women's group, is that if I know that there's an issue, and sometimes I'll make a call for them, to say, hey, I need to hook this up with you.
Well, that is true. And just testimony regarding Habitat for Humanity in Clayton County is over the past, it's been 3 years now, they have replaced 2 roofs for people that in my organization. In like say there are different Habitat for Humanity chapters, but that particular one down there, they actually had a budget just for veterans, and they pretty much came looking for someone to help. And we had people that needed it, they qualified, and we got it done.
Wonderful. Yeah, I love that. And I'm really concerned about what I call the hidden seniors, the disabled senior individuals. And these are beautiful people that would never ask for help on their own. So you need to kind of keep an eye out on our seniors, I call them. is that people that really, if they're not living in a safe situation, I've helped with a couple of projects through Habitat myself, and just been appalled to see how bad the houses were. And you say, oh my gosh, how could you, you're saying this in your head, not to them, but how can you live this way? And isn't anybody helping you? And unfortunately, they're just strong, independent people. A lot of veterans were like
Yeah,
that. We don't
they
want to
are.
ask for help. But we say, hey, this is an opportunity for younger veterans to give back. So I might not be up on the roof there nailing shingles, but maybe I can help you downstairs, with the little things. People don't realize just changing a light bulb can be a challenge sometimes. When you go into a house of a senior and you see that it's dark in the house because they haven't been able to change the overhead lights. It's that simple. To
Well,
be able to be alert to that kind of thing. And the Habitat programs are probably the best programs. There are other organizations that will do it. But if you know a senior that needs help, and again, it's a privilege, it's a gift to us. It's not an entitlement when a nonprofit assists somebody, is that all of them have different criteria. That is one of the challenges, Herman, that I've run into. And I don't know if you've seen it. I think you said you're a Vietnam era veteran, that you deployed to Vietnam yourself.
yeah, I did.
Yeah, so like me, I got off of active duty in 1990, got out of the reserves in 94. There are some organizations that it's in their rules you have to be post 9/11. And
Yeah.
it's their money, it's their rules, right? We can't
Right.
change that. It's up to them. So again, it's not an entitlement if that's their rule. We can ask them to change the rule, and sometimes they will, but a lot of times they won't. But there are other organizations. So I'm always on the lookout for new resources that are available for everybody. And I'll ask them. I'll tell you one organization that I like up here in Marietta. Have you worked with United Military Care?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, they're over on Old Canton Road in Marietta. They're great. People can find their website, and they have the food boxes like what you have, and they have some other programs, and they're one of the organizations I can call and go. They're not a big organization, but what I like about them is that they have I think they call it the Battle Buddies program, where they actually do outreach to nursing homes. So that they've got I think it's a motorcycle group actually that helps them. A
Yeah.
veteran motorcycle group that goes out to the nursing homes. So that's just one of many organizations, and that's the thing about, like you said, in Georgia, there's so many different resources. I don't know them all. So every time I meet a new one, I say, yes, I've got another resource that can help somebody who really needs help.
And also, speaking of Vietnam veterans, and we are reaching that age where we you have the Iraqi veterans, the Desert Storm, the post 9/11 veterans, but the Vietnam and the Korean veterans, we are reaching that age basically where the older veterans are in a different category than these younger.
Oh, absolutely.
We have different issues, and one of the issues that you mentioned is the pride in not letting people know that you're in trouble.
You're right about that. Yeah, I mean, because that was definitely the way that I was brought up. I think that's one of the issues with transition. That's really different. Now, did you retire? I don't know you that well, so I have to ask you: did you retire out of the military, or you just did your time?
I just did 4 years.
Okay, yeah. See, so I didn't retire either, right? But so when you walked out the door, let me ask you: was there a job waiting for you? They said, Herman, come right in. We're going to pay you a bunch of money, or did you take a
No,
while?
the answer is no. And this was, for tell my age, that's right. And this was in 60. I got out in 68. So I actually
Okay.
went to Savannah State between the GI Bill and working at UPS. Then after that, I spent the majority of my working life working in the Bell system. I worked for AT&T, Lucid, Southern Bell, all the Bell companies.
Right. So you had a little bit of difficulty at first, and then you found yourself, ended up with an okay career. Is that right? Pretty much.
That's right.
Right. Okay. And I want to share the same
And
thing happened to
also,
me. Yeah.
since I went out of high school, and and I only stayed in 4 years. I was young, so it
Right.
wasn't as if I had been 30, then I would have considered it would have been a different situation.
hmm Right. Well, but the thing is, I was a Navy lieutenant. When I got out in 1990, who wouldn't want to hire this awesome Navy lieutenant, right? Well, hello. Did not
Yeah,
happen the
I
way
mean,
I thought it would. It really didn't. I went back to school. I finished up a master's degree in counseling. Got one job that I really hated, had to quit that one, was looking for another job. Um, all of a sudden, I realized I was running out of money. As I had a little bit of money in the bank, I had a house. Herman, I actually was technically homeless for a while myself. It's because I realized that I couldn't afford my mortgage. And see, back then they didn't have all of the save your mortgage, pay your rent type of programs, right?
right,
you know so I'm doing the best I can. I had graduated by then. I thought I had a job. It fell through. I was a single parent of a special needs kid, and that's, by the way, that's another issue that women have, especially, is that if a man has a child, he usually has a wife or a mama that will take care of that child. We women, we don't give up our kids very easily, right? They're
right.
with us, because we're natural caregivers. So here I am, knowing that I'm having difficulty paying my bills. In my case, what I did was I put my house up on the market for sale. I sold it within a week, which I did not expect it to sell that fast. Probably should have asked more money, but we're talking, 1994 at this point. Okay.
Right.
So sold my house. Suddenly I have no place to live. Right. I did get a little bit of money profit off the house, but not much. I actually had my son go live with somebody, and I rented a room in somebody's house for 6 months. I lived in one little room. I put my stuff all in storage. I got myself a job through a temp agency. I am a gifted telemarketer. Who knew, right? So
Right.
I was paying that lady, and it was a nasty house. I mean, she had a dog that peed on the floor. I had to put
Okay.
my dog in a kennel at the time. She had a nasty home, but I paid $100 a week in 1994 to stay in that lady's house, and I'd give her cash, and it was under the table deal, right?
Right.
And that's how I survived for 6 months. I never asked anybody for help. Then when I finally got a job, by then my son actually had some medical problems. He was in and out of the hospital. I myself had had an emergency gallbladder operation, so I had $30,000 worth of medical bills. And again, they didn't have any programs, back then, and I wasn't getting much from the VA back then either. But, when I moved to Atlanta, I ended up with the US Department of Labor, and I got my salary in 1995 when I moved here, March. See, I'm coming up on my anniversary here. March 27th, I think, 1995.
Okay.
I moved to Atlanta. I had my day job downtown Atlanta. I got paid $29,000 that year, and that was my salary. But I also went out because I had all those bills. I went out. I had my day job, I had my night job, and I had my weekend job. Because that's what you did back then. You didn't have, nobody was
Right.
going to pay my bills for me, right? I wrote those nice letters to the creditors saying, yes, I do owe you the money, but you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip, right? And
Right.
on my own, I set up payment plans, right? And that's what our generation would do, would own our debt and would be honest about it, and we would pay our bills.
Exactly.
um Today what I do see is a difference, that there's a lot of the young people that are coming out that expect somebody else to cover their bills for them, and that's a challenge. I mean, and I understand, like, because I'm like them. I had a child at home that I'm responsible for, all of that kind of stuff. But there are so learning now how to use the resources but not get dependent on them. One of the things is veterans we're strong and we are resilient. We may have a couple step back that we go through, but you and me, we went through our hard times, but we came out of it and we had good lives. So it just kind of keeping the focus.
Well, that's exactly true, and I mean, it also applies to the veterans that are getting out today, and it applies to me, to like my kids. I got kids that's in their 40s, and
Mhm.
my concern is they don't have any idea what it's like to be tough, to have to deal
Mm.
with not knowing how I'm gonna pay the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Because their mom won't let me do it.
Well, see, that's it. Yeah, is that there's that entitlement that's there that, we paid our dues.
Yeah,
It might not
we
have been
did.
pretty sometimes, but we paid our dues. And we know that we can get through tough stuff because we were in the military. Most people can't make it into the military to start through, and then to get through boot camp, that
Well,
takes some mental toughness.
well, it does, and that's what the military instills in you is that uh, if you get knocked down, you can get up and you can fight
Thank
your
you.
way. If you can fight your way back, and
Hmm.
today a lot of people get knocked down, they don't get up. Yeah.
Well, see, part of the programs are too easy. They've changed them a little bit. The homelessness programs have changed a little bit, I think, because what they were doing, which I think they've changed now a little bit, is that they'd open up, like transition programs where you could stay up to 2 years, and they didn't offer the job placement services well enough. So people would kind of nest, especially women would kind of nest in there. They'd stay for as long as the 2 years as they could and really wouldn't do the job seeking types of things. And, I'm a believer, work, school, or a reasonable combination of both. And, if you're retired, that's different. Or if you're severely disabled, that's different. But, I'm a disabled person and, I keep pretty busy. Again, we were talking earlier, I cannot pass the Army combat physical. We couldn't pass it back in the day anyway. So I don't have that physical ability, but there are things that I can do that, are positive things. And, I make a little money here or there. Right. So, and I've got retirement at this point, but, most people can take care of their business. Don't let yourself get so discouraged that you can't move forward. And there's plenty of people like yourself and me. We've been there. They think they're the only ones, and they're not. Everybody's been through hard times.
Well, that's true, and just my wife teaches uh, online for Mercer. She was teaching in person until
Mhm.
COVID-19, so she teaches
Mhm.
online, and uh, a lot of her students are students that are uh, ex-military or they are going through school on some type of loan.
Mhm.
And she was having a conversation this morning about some of them. I'm working 3 jobs, whatever,
Mhm.
and and no, and she's the type person that, uh, well, my approach to it is it's uh, they have you have to uh, be fair with them, but you can't uh, give them a pity party or be separate. Let them talk you into passing them because they got all these other issues.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. Uh-huh. And in the long run, she's right to do that, because if you just give them something that they have not earned and they don't have the skills, then they go out on the job and they fail because they really didn't learn how to do it to start with. So no, she's exactly on target. I like that. She's doing exactly the right thing. Yeah, is that a lot of them? How about this thing where now, this thing about paying off all of their student loans? Did anybody pay your student loans? I didn't pay
Not a
mine.
check.
So
Yeah,
because that's the other hot thing that they're trying to do right now. And
yeah,
and again, we understand that people sometimes need temporary help, and that's the thing. To get help when you need it, but if there's ways for you to do it for yourself, it's actually healthier in the long run. Is that if you become dependent on other people, you'll never become independent, right? So look for
right.
ways to achieve on your own.
It what they kind of taught us in the country, in addition to the military, is they would give you a little bit of help.
Right.
Now, if they saw
Right.
you were really in trouble,
Mhm.
they would completely get you out, but they
Right.
would give you a little breathing room. Because
Mhm.
my dad would do that. But
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, like, because you keep on saying you grew up in the country. In the country, if you don't work, you don't eat, right?
right,
Yeah, that's that you learn that early, right? And you may not eat the fancy stuff. You're not going to have filet mignon, every night.
Not at all, Ed. You don't complain about it either.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, because mama would be on your hands, right? Or maybe your
Right.
butt. Because yeah, you do what you need to do to get through that hard time. And knowing that everybody has those. And really, it's kind of the mental health side of me is that looking at crisis and trauma in people's lives is that I'm sure that you're the same as me, Herman, that you can look back and see that you had some really dark days along the way where you're saying, God, why me? And it was really hard. You're a manly man, but you probably cried yourself sometimes. I know I did about this
Yeah.
isn't right, this isn't fair. But when bad times come, it makes us stop, it makes us think, and it hopefully makes us come up with new choices for our life. If you do the same thing over and over and over, you're not going to change. But when you try
Exactly.
something new, potentially the world will just open up to you in a different way. And I apologize for my dog barking. I guess he ate that bone I gave him.
Well,
Um,
we are
but
almost running out of time. Jess, you want to just give us a brief bit about Vetlanta? I mean, that's
Oh, sure. Yeah. Thank you very much for let me talk about Vetlanta as well. Vetlanta is a networking organization that was actually founded by some veterans that worked at Coca-Cola and UPS. So Lloyd Knight and John Phillips are the founders, and they started in let's see, I think they're about 8 years old now. I think about 8 years old.
I think
And
so.
it was utilizing what they call veteran resource groups or veteran business groups. A lot of big corporations have opportunities for their employees to do service projects and have groups that meet within their own corporations. And I guess, and I'm not really sure because I'm trying to tell their story. They could tell it better, but I guess basically they just came to a meeting of the minds. Is if Coca-Cola has one of these groups and UPS has one of these groups, other companies have groups, and so they ended up just talking to the different major corporations here in the Atlanta area about maybe we could get together, exchange information. A lot of it, the activity on Vetlanta is on LinkedIn, where we exchange information about jobs and things like that. That's how it started. But since then, it's just kind of grown and grown because it's huge networking. And we've ended up doing quarterly summits that are totally sponsored by large corporations in the Atlanta area. Um, with those, we get like 500 to over 1,000 people coming to the in-person ones. And Atlanta is like Georgia Military Women. It's totally a club. It's not a nonprofit. There's no bank account or anything like that. So, and no direct services. It's not like you can call up and get casework, or anything like that. Is that if somebody contacts us, we would refer them out. We do have some expertise in a bunch of different areas like business and employability and housing. And I'm over the healthcare area as well as women veterans for Vetlanta. But our purpose is to educate and connect people more than actually providing the service. And anybody can join. You can go to vetlanta.org. That's VETLANTA, Vetlanta. To get on our newsletter, to be informed about what we're doing. And over the years, it's just really impressive what we've done. Some of you have heard of like the TED Talks, where an expert will talk about something. We have Vet Talks, and one of our corporations, KPMG, has sponsored that series where veterans come and get a video done of maybe only like 5 minutes or so, telling their story and sharing their wisdom. That's become very popular. We've also started doing virtual summits, of course, during the past year. That's been a little challenge for us. Like most organizations, it hasn't worked perfectly every time, but we still have awesome speakers. We had Army Captain Flo Groberg as our keynote speaker just a couple weeks ago. He was a Medal of Honor recipient who spoke to our group. We had good attendance on that. One of the ladies, Sharika Grayson from our Georgia Military Women's Group, was the national anthem singer. So she was wonderful. That
Hey,
reminds me, Georgia Military Women is starting a women's military choir. If any ladies that are in the military want to
great.
join our group, we've got some songbirds in there, and I'd love to have some more people. I heard we were looking for some more sopranos. have quite a few altos, so we need more sopranos. We need all of them. It's okay. So Vetlanta though has a lot of resources like that. We just did one summit. I'm not sure exactly when the next one will be. I know that we are planning one for Mercedes-Benz as soon as COVID opens. That's what we're watching for, is that when COVID is over and we can invite you to come in person, that's one of the locations. And we expect, several thousand veterans to come to that one. So please get involved. Check us out online.
On the website. Okay.
On the website. That's the easiest way to connect.
Okay. And again, your organization is Georgia Military Women. And let me let the audience know that my organization is Veterans Helping Veterans, and our website is blackveteranshelpingveterans.net. You may contact us at 404-996-5679. And the email is bvhv3105@gmail.com. So and a lot of things that we do, we dealing with helping veterans that are applying for their disability compensation and pension, helping you get the paperwork you need, the records you need, and suggesting that you get in touch with the VSO officer, and a VSO officer. Some of the major organizations that has VSO officers are the American Legion, VAV, Vietnam Veterans of America, and my organization actually has two that are certified. So that's helping veterans getting started in the system.
Great.
So anything you want to say to wrap it up?
Well, I just appreciate the opportunity to get to know you. We're going to become friends. I found out you live here in Cobb County, so that's awesome. So maybe I'll meet up with you one of these days and we'll talk even more. And I wrote down your number. I may be sending some veterans to you. Is that because it's real important just to share and to have this camaraderie. And the more I know about all of the different organizations, that's wonderful. And I really appreciate everything that you've done. And thank you very much for having me here today.
I'm going to recommend some female veterans to your organization, because a lot of times when we're having a business meeting, you have not only female but males also would rather have a support meeting. They would just want to tell war stories and talk about past experience. So trying to mix that with a business meeting makes it difficult. So
well, I very much welcome them in. We're always looking for new members.
Well, that is welcome. Thank you, and we will. Vivian is also she's not sure of her face, but we also go to church together, and so we talk regularly. So I will make sure that Vivian keep me in the loop with you, and we will network and build a good relationship.
Absolutely.
So, thank you for appearing on Veterans Today. So with that, we're going to wish everybody to have a good and safe weekend. And Veterans Today will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you, Amy Stevenson.
Thank you. Take care, everybody. Hope you have a great week.